What is up, you lovers of all things locks? Hope you guys are having a beautiful Sunday. Welcome back to the Sebetreyu channel, where you can expect everything from lock care to lock repair. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about frizz and how to, one, avoid it. Well, you can't really avoid it, but there are things that you can do to manage it, to kind of tame it. And then secondly, I'm going to be demonstrating how to do this. So be sure to watch to the end of the video. Alright, before we get into it, I'm just going to ask you guys to hit that like button to keep the channel growing. Be sure to subscribe so that you are notified every single time I actually upload, which is once a week. And yeah, let's get right into it. So today I'm going to discuss 3 ways to tame or manage frizz, not to eradicate it, because frizz is a natural part of the locking process. It's a part of the lock journey. And me personally, I actually don't mind frizz, but I know that there are a lot of you out there who detest it. You hate it. You want me to tell you some ways that you can combat it. I know this because I get that question. How do you get rid of frizz in my comment section constantly. So today I'm gonna oblige. The first way to limit the amount of frizz that you have on your locks is to cover your hair, especially at night. Now you might be wondering, what does covering your hair do? Well, when you're sleeping and you're tossing and turning, it minimizes the friction because you're gonna be covering your head with something that's made of silk or satin. So you can use a do-rag, you can use a scarf. You can even make sure that your pillow has a silk or satin pillowcase covering. Make sure that your head is resting on something that is nice and smooth so you can reduce the amount of friction. The more friction there is, the more hairs are going to be pulled away from the center of your lock. And what is that? That's frizz. Also, when you wrap your hair up at night, not only does it reduce the friction, but it also holds those hairs in place. Now, you guys know that I wear satin bonnets mainly, like most of the time. And it honestly doesn't do the best job of reducing frizz, but once again, I'm not someone who cares about it. The second thing that you can do to tame or manage that frizz is to do your maintenance somewhat regularly and consistently. Now, by no means am I telling you guys to go out and get a retwist every week, right? You have to make it work with how often you do your maintenance, but I think it helps to do regular maintenance because while you're doing that maintenance, you can actually palm roll. And when you palm roll, not only does that help keep your lock cylindrical, but it also helps to roll that frizz into the lock. And if you're doing that consistently, then obviously you're gonna have less frizz that's just chilling on the surface of your locks, annoying you, right? So yes, somewhat regular maintenance, but more importantly, consistent maintenance. And when you do the maintenance, be sure to palm roll. That's the key. Now, the third way that I know of to reduce or manage or tame frizz is to use various tools. I made a video a while back discussing different ways to deal with frizz using various tools, so be sure to check that out. But I'm just gonna name a couple of ways. One, you can use a crochet hook. A lot of lockers who have straight hair or soft hair, they will use the crochet hook to kind of feed those hairs into the lock, that frizz, and to get it to tangle with the inside of the lock, right? If it's on the inside of your lock, it's not on the outside, which means no frizz or less frizz. So that's a good thing. I've also seen people use, believe it or not, a needle and thread. And yeah, you really gotta watch that video that I referenced because it's fascinating how people do that. So you can use different tools once you have the frizz to kind of lessen the amount of frizz. But once again, that's not necessarily my cup of tea. I'm just throwing it out there for you guys because I know a lot of you are desperate. All right, so now that I've discussed 3 ways that I know of to deal with frizz, as promised, I am going to demonstrate a 4th way to deal with frizz. Basically, all you're gonna need is some water. I know some people, they will use products. Not everyone's hair based on their texture responds as well as mine does to just plain water, distilled water I mean, or rose water. So some people use products. Anyone who knows me knows that I am definitely not a product junkie, so I'm gonna use rose water. So let me show you. All right, so we have a good lock to demonstrate with right here. There's some frizz there, as you can probably see. So you wanna just grab your, in my case, rose water, just to kind of wet the lock a little bit. Try not to spray yourself on the eye. And you can start up as high as you need to, depending on where your frizz is. But you're gonna see how it's like that. So what I'm gonna do is you wanna grab that and then just slide your fingers down the length of your lock, continuing to grab the frizz. See how there's always some in my fingers as I'm moving down the lock? And just keep going. See that right there? Just keep going down. And this is definitely one of my go-to ways of combating frizz during the earlier part of my journey when I actually cared about it. Yeah, just keep on going down and down. At some point, at least for me, I run out of frizz because I've noticed that the more mature my locks are, the less frizz I have. So the older part of my locks have less to no frizz, but I'm just going down and down and down. And usually, when I used to do this, I would do this while I was doing my retwist. Which is why in the earlier days, my retwist took much longer than 45 minutes to an hour and 15. All right, and so then the end result is you have a lock with no frizz. You see that? Or less frizz, I should say. Because there's always frizz, it's always gonna be there. But the frizz that was there is significantly muted, if you will. So that is my pro tip on how to deal with frizz. You don't need any tools, you just need your fingers, some water, distilled or rose water, or if you're gonna be brave and use a product, I guess you can. I don't condone it. And just get to wrapping those hairs around your lock. And that will temporarily help you combat frizz. So you guys know that I'm curious to know what you guys think of this method. I'm also curious to know whether or not you care about frizz on your journey. So drop down below, let me know in the comment section, give me your thoughts on frizz. If you are someone who hates it, and I know you guys are out there, because I've seen the comments repeatedly, they're still coming in, I probably got one right now. Let me know, give me your thoughts. Don't be ashamed if you're someone who hates frizz. Let me know if any of these sound appealing to you, and yeah. If you choose to love, do so unconditionally, because loving with conditions conditions the heart to not really love at all. So betray you.